Mark Wolynn, It Didn't Start With You, How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle. Discover how the trauma experienced by your ancestors may impact your own life in It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolynn. This book unravels the way inherited trauma shapes our behavior, family dynamic, and even our biology. In exploring this concept, learn about the key connections between past traumas, present behavior, and genetic alteration, as well as the profound influence our relationships with our parents have on our lives. Gain insight into the 4 unconscious themes which disrupt the parent-child relationship, and grasp valuable tools like the core language approach, which can help unveil suppressed trauma and lead to resolution.
Inherited trauma, a family's burden. The past traumas of our parents and grandparents can have long-lasting effects on our lives. Behavioral patterns, genetic changes, and altered stress hormones are just a few examples of how trauma can affect generations to come, leading to a cycle of inherited traumatic feelings. In order to break this cycle, it's crucial that we find a way to resolve the effects of trauma. Otherwise, we risk projecting our unresolved pain onto our loved ones and passing on the burden of our trauma to future generations. When it comes to identifying and overcoming trauma, it's not just our personal experience we need to examine, but also our family history. Parental influence on child's life. Our relationship with our parents shapes who we are, and they have the strongest influence on our lives. The book explores the 4 unconscious themes that disrupt a parent-child relationship, including dependency, rejection, breaks, and trauma. By examining our family history and childhood experiences, we can understand emotional problems and overcome them with the core language approach. Exercises, such as identifying core descriptors, can help pinpoint relationship problems and ultimately resolve them. Uncovering hidden fears. Everyone has fears, some of them common like arachnophobia and ophidiophobia, but others not so much. These less common fears usually have their roots in past trauma. These fears are difficult to define because we often lack the proper language to describe them. Sigmund Freud called this repetition compulsion, an unconscious attempt to confront deeply suppressed trauma through repetitive behavior. To pinpoint the source of the fear and ultimately overcome it, it is essential to use core language. Core complaint is a phrase that describes the current fear or phobia, while the core sentence is the potential outcome if the fear actualizes. By linking these to personal and family history, it is possible to identify hidden inherited trauma that may be controlling one's life. The key is to recognize that memory, or the lack of it, could alter past experiences, leading to hidden fears. Discovering your core complaint and core sentence is the first step towards uncovering and confronting hidden fears. Mapping your core language. Fears can direct us to the source of our pain. The core language approach helps create a core language map with 4 components: the core complaint, core sentence, core descriptors, and core trauma. These components help uncover events in family history that explain our fears. Bridging questions and family trees are tools we can use to understand the patterns in our family's past. By identifying our core trauma, we can better understand our fears and how they affect our mental health. Healing trauma through language. Overcoming trauma begins with identifying it and creating new language to communicate with oneself. It's important to recognize how a relative's trauma may be affecting you and work towards breaking the cycle. Using written exercises, visualizations, breathing exercises, personal language, and healing sentences can help acknowledge and heal one's pain. Healing sentences are powerful tools for instilling positivity and moving away from negative self-talk. Healing actions, such as lighting a candle in memory of a loved one, can also aid in finding emotional connections and forgiveness. Healing sentences can also help heal relationships with parents, including accepting and forgiving their shortcomings. Communication and acceptance of self and others are crucial components of the healing process.
In It Didn't Start With You, Mark Wolynn sheds light on the role inherited trauma plays in shaping our lives, behaviors, and even our genetic code. By understanding the powerful influence of our parents and investigating the 4 unconscious themes, we can begin addressing and healing the effects of this inherited trauma. Utilize the core language approach to identify hidden fears and draw correlations between your own experiences and those of your family's past. By navigating these connections, facing the trauma, and learning to communicate effectively with yourself and others, you have the power to end the cycle of inherited trauma for you and future generations.